owner of Sales Elite. And what we do is we just as simple as this. We just help home service businesses grow their business through revenues, through sales, and we just really hone in on the techniques of sales and more importantly, needs-based selling. So yeah, I'm originally from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm excited to be here. I don't know if anyone that will be tuning in is from the South Florida area, diehard South Florida guy. But however, I'm excited to be here, excited to just whatever I have learned over the years, from B2B, from D2D, from high ticket retail sales. I'm more than happy to just let you know and just give you this information. Hopefully it'll help you out in your day to day.
All right, so let's do it. So we have a couple people in the live. We're going to get straight to it. I know how it is. I've been an HVAC contractor for 19 years. I know some people may be in the field streaming. So we're going to get right to it. Boom.
That
So
sounds good.
we're going to start off from when you first get the lead. Somebody says they need a new unit. It goes to the dispatcher. You may be a one-man show. It may go to you. All right, so Ariel, you're the salesperson. You get the call. Somebody needs an estimate. First thing you do, you're on your way to the house. You get in the driveway. What's the first thing you do?
Yeah, so first thing is first. You want to make sure that your mindset is in the right place because sales is all this, right? It's really about where your mind is at. And this is really big for our techs. I train quite a bit of techs and a lot of our techs, they just think of one thing and one thing only of fixing something rather than being more of a hybrid employee and actually selling. So your mindset's the biggest thing. And what I always like to tell companies that I train with is this, right? There's a two-letter word that we just are so apprehensive against, and that's going to be the word no. It's something about the word no that we just kind of almost cringe on the inside. So your mindset before going in there is not to focus in on the no. What if the customer says no? Because a lot of times that's what's going through our mind. Man, what if I get rejected? What if the customer tells me no? And this is what I want you to do. Instead of, I guess, cringing on the inside of that thought about hearing no, your mindset needs to be this. You want to lean into the no's because in those no's, you're going to find your wins. And the reason I say that, and the reason behind all of this, right? Why us as humans don't like hearing no, and especially in the sales arena, is simply because of this. We take it personal. We think it's the customer's telling no to us, but I want to give you a little secret here, right? No really doesn't mean no. All
Okay.
it means is that the customer, right? This is going to be good, right? All it means is that the customer doesn't have enough information to see the value in what you're offering or see the
Okay.
value in your services.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so
You know,
hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, go ahead.
I like that because that was one of the things when you came in and did our training was one thing I'll never forget because we often get people that'll say, I got to talk to my husband or I got to talk to my wife
Yes.
about it. Really, that's not a deal breaker in the moment. And what you taught me is a lot of times that just means they don't have enough answers yet. Or it's an opportunity to say, and I changed this. I actually sold a unit today off of this. So she said, hey, I have to talk to my husband. I said, no problem. Talk to him. I know you need to do that, but what questions can I answer for you that you may want to know to explain to him? Because I know if she's still on the fence and she has to talk to him, that
Right.
means she's apprehensive and there's something she wants his input on.
Right.
And she said, well, actually, yeah, I really don't understand the financing all the way. And I said, no problem. And when I explained the financing, she closed.
Wow.
So I need to
Wow.
talk to my husband was more of a signal to me that I didn't answer her questions all the way. So,
Right.
so,
Right. No,
so
that's good because you get those smoke screens sometimes. So again, to that point, that's a great job there, Mike, is that we just have to make sure that we are explaining everything to the customer because no really doesn't mean no. So that's why we need to lean into the no's because we're going to find more sales once we realize that we just need to communicate to the customer a different way.
yeah, I like it. Okay. So boom. So you were in the driveway. What I hear you saying is, first thing is I'm gonna get my mindset right. I'm gonna get prepared to hear no, and it's okay. So I have that mindset. Before you walk to the door, is there any other mindset things that you're setting up in your mind, or that's it?
Yeah, yeah. So along with that, right? I don't know how many of you guys know this, or even you might, but here's the thing. We get 70,000 thoughts that run through our mind each day. 45,000 of those thoughts are negative thoughts. So
Wow.
to counteract that, we need to do something, which is called, I learned this from a company called Limitless Minds. They're one of the best in mind training. Is that we have to keep our mind in a neutral place. If we don't
Hmm.
keep our mind in that neutral place, and what I mean by that, think about a car. Put it in drive, put it in reverse, you put it in neutral. So when you do hear those no's, you don't let it affect you in such a way that you just stay down in the dumps and say, man, I can't sell anything. But
Yeah.
more so, yeah, right? Because more so what it is acknowledging like, hey, I took 5 no's before this sales call, but
Hmm.
going to this next sales call, how am I going to explain what I have to offer, my services, why my HVAC company is the best for the problem for this customer? How am I going to explain that in such a way that they have no choice but to say yes?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what's running through your mind.
Okay. Boom. All right. So I pull up. I get my mindset right. Calm my nerves. So I'm set. So then, okay, so I put you back in the driver's seat. So now you got your mindset right. You walk up, you knock on the door, homeowner answers the door. What? Okay, what now?
Yes, yes, great. I'm glad you asked that and set me up like that. So here's the thing, and I believe this is where, or one of the parts where we really missed the ball, and it's going to be rapport building. A lot of trainers would tell you nowadays that rapport is kind of dead. It's kind of old news, but I believe, and I stand on it, Sales Elite, we stand on this. We stand on that rapport is king. Because
Mhm.
imagine this, and imagine this, right? Imagine you knock on the door. Imagine the customer answers the door. Just imagine there's a brick wall and all around them, surrounded, right? There's a brick wall, and you're trying to communicate to that customer. That
Mhm.
customer is only going to hear a few select words, phrases, and sentences that you're communicating because their wall is up.
Yeah.
So here's the sauce in rapport, right? The sauce is this, is that it lowers those walls. It breaks down those walls. And not even that, but it creates a door for you to enter into that customer's space. They
Mhm.
feel more comfortable with you so that when you're communicating with them, you're communicating with them freely and they're actually able to hear and take in what you're telling them, what you're communicating to them, and more importantly, it's going to set you up later down the road for your sales process.
Okay. Yeah, I love it. I'll let you a little insight on me when I was really before you came in and taught me about rapport. So
Yep.
I have this thing where I want to look as professional as possible, right? So clean, have my uniform, have my truck wrapped, all that. I actually felt like if I don't keep it business, it's unprofessional. I'll give you an example. So if I see a big flag on the wall, Texas or something like that, or Puerto Rico, I felt like if I say, "Oh, hey, are you from Texas?" I felt that was invasive. I felt it was unprofessional. But in reality, it actually brings you closer to the person when you say, "Hey, I see you have a Texas flag. You're from Texas." Even if you're not from there, we're not being manipulative or lying. If he says, "Yeah, I'm from Texas. Are you?" I said, "No, I'm not from there, but I've always wanted to visit. I have a friend that lives there." And it just kind of brings you closer, and it brings you from, "Oh, this is HVAC estimate number 3 to
Yeah.
there's another guy." And I'll share real quick something that I did last week. One of the customers had my mother's maiden name, and
Okay.
I heard his name. I said, "Hey, my mother has the same last name as you." And he said, "Really?" Because it's not that common of a name. And I can see him going from button up customer, like, "Give me my estimate," to kind of like, "Okay, hey, yeah, man, let's take a look." So the rapport, I would say that's probably the number one thing that you taught me that's brought the sales up. So, all right. So boom. So you're setting up rapport. Anything else on that? How long is the rapport going? Are you trying to get to
Yeah.
look at real quick? Are you taking your time? What's going on?
Yeah, so this is, and I'm glad you brought that up about that customer. And here's the thing, right? So I'm not rushing the report process. There's no set time for it. And the reason behind that is this, right? You want the experience or interaction with the customer to be as conversational and relational as possible. So it's always, we have a phrase at Sales Elite, conversational over transactional. You always want the interaction with the customer to feel as organic, as natural as possible. Because again, you may have that customer that is just like so
Mhm.
just uptight. But the minute that, in your case, Mike, the minute that you related not on just a topical level, but a deep level, you were able to connect. And not only that, and this is a question I had a lot. I think one of your texts may ask me this too, Mike, is, hey, what if I'm an introvert? And how do
Yeah.
I build rapport if I'm an introvert? Well, the easiest thing, this is, and Mike, you did it naturally, but here's a way, here's a sauce to build rapport for anyone, introvert, doesn't matter. This is what I want you to do. Whatever that you ask a question, and whatever the response is from that customer, you either do one or two things or both. You can relate to their answer, or you can ask another question that is what I call drilling down on that previous question. And that way, what it naturally does, it naturally helps you get into a deeper conversation with that customer. Again, what are you doing? Lowering those walls of that customer. They're more
Okay.
open, and not only their walls, but it's lowering your walls as well. Because hey, guys, whether you're new to HVAC sales, whether you're a tech, you're owner, it doesn't matter. If you're going into someone's house you never met, there's some level of nerves, expectation, and some anxiousness there. Maybe you're just straight out nervous. But if you're able to build rapport, get to know that person, make it conversational, not transactional, you can be yourself, you can be more relaxed. It's going to make the process just that more enjoyable.
And I like it too because it gives you the freedom to be a person, right? So we're
Right.
all humans every day, all day. You know, we're laughing, we're joking, we're talking to people, we're saying, "Hey, I like that car, I like that shirt." Why do we have to turn that off all of a sudden because I'm on an estimate? And so
Exactly.
people aren't seeing that turned off through their process. They're at the store, they're picking up their kids, they're talking to the teacher. The only person they meet that's just straight up cold is you if you're
Right.
turning it on. So you're the strange one when you don't kind of like build that rapport, right? So that freed me
Yep.
up a lot to just be relaxed. And just if you notice something, be a person. I went on an estimate and the customers were new in town. They had just moved in. And my
Yep.
first thought was like, man, they just moved to town and they have to replace their system. So I said what I would normally say. It wasn't any kind of sales trick. I said, hey, I'm sorry, this is your introduction to this town that you just moved in a house and is broke. I kind of wish I wasn't here, but I am. And that you can
Yeah.
be Ariel, you can be Mike, you can be Joe. You don't want to be tech number three. So,
Right.
all right, so boom. So you do the rapport building. You
Yep.
go look at the unit, whatever, you do your numbers, you got your price, you come back. Now what are you doing? Are you going to the kitchen table? Are you giving the numbers right there at the porch? Are you saying I'll give you an estimate and come back later? Are you giving one quote, two quotes, three quotes? What's the situation now?
Yeah. So yeah, I love how this is leading and how you phrase that. So this is what I believe. My conviction here is this, right? I believe this is a part of the sales process where we drop the ball the most.
Okay.
So we'll go look at a unit, we'll go look at the ductwork, whatever it may be. We'll come back and we'll just tell the customer this. We'll tell the customer, hey, this is wrong with the unit. Looks like your blower's out, such and such, whatever. We'll send you an estimate. Have a nice day. And it just stops there.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I was talking about before, right, Mike? About being so transactional and not being conversational. So this is the point where if you're just doing that and telling customers you're going to send them an estimate and you're not really going to take the time to explain what is going on with their unit or their duct, whatever it may be, If you're not doing that, then you're going to find yourself not making a lot of sales. And the only time you will make a sale if you're the cheapest guy, and your profit margin is probably not the greatest either if you're the cheapest guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is where we drop the ball the most. So when you do get back in with the customer, you already built that rapport. You're already in a place where the customer feels comfortable. You may have asked certain type of questions to feel that customer out, to know whether, and this is what I call a skill of questioning, right? You may have asked questions of how long have they lived there, or do they plan for this home to be a rental place or investment property, whatever the case may be, however you phrase it. You ask all those questions, so you have all that in your mind. And when you're explaining to that customer what exactly is wrong with their unit, you need to explain it. And if you're a tech, please listen to me. You need to explain it in layman terms. Explain it in a way that if you're explaining to someone that has no idea of HVAC systems, you need to explain in a way that they would understand.
Mm-hmm.
Because what did I tell you before? No doesn't mean no. It just
Mm-hmm.
means that they don't have enough information, or even worse, they just don't understand
Yeah.
where the problem is and why they need it, right? So in that portion of the sales process, when you explain it to them, be concise. You want to be somewhat brief, and you don't want to take too much time explaining exactly what's wrong, because you'll get lost in your words, and all
Mm-hmm.
that information will right over that customer's head, and they'll just be looking at you, nodding, and say, "Hey, I'm gonna get two more quotes and appreciate your time."
Yeah. Yeah. If they don't feel comfortable, I agree. And I always say we're not in the business of fixing machines only.
Right.
We're in the business of making customers feel heard, making them feel safe, making them feel comfortable. Um, and if you don't believe that, then I'd love to bid against you, right? Because if your thing is only price, I want to compete against you on price alone, even if you're lower than me. Because if you have a lower price, but you're a robot, or you didn't make them feel heard, or they didn't understand you, and
Exactly.
I come in and make them feel, they understand the process, they understand
Right.
everything I'm going to do. I'm a person that might be worth $500 more to them, or $1,000 more to them, right?
Right.
So,
100%.
um, so a lot of times when we can't win on price because we're always higher, it's really not because of the price. It's because of our process, to be honest. So, okay,
Yep.
so I like that. So, do you sit at the kitchen table? So let me give you a scenario. So
Yep.
let's say your company has three, they have a good, better, best. Okay.
Yep.
So high end or middle end or low end. You're at the kitchen table, right? How do you kind of like walk them through this?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let me back up there, because I wanna help whoever's listening with the
Oh,
segue to the kitchen
by the
table.
way, before you get to that, guys, if you have a question, please put it in the chat. I can ask it. We'll ask right on the live. So the chat is there. I'm monitoring on my other screen. So, all right. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. So yeah, before you get to the kitchen table, I want to give whoever's listening some good word track on how to get to that kitchen table, because
Okay.
once you're explaining what is wrong with their unit, or whatever it may be, what you want to do is you want to be concise, you want to be brief, and then the word track you want to use is, you tell the customer, "Hey, Mr. Williams, I can actually show you better than I can explain, or I can actually show you better than I can explain it. If you don't mind, let's sit at your table. I want to go over a few options to protect this investment." And you're literally moving your hands like this, because you're referring to their home as this
Mm-hmm.
investment, just not the unit, but this investment as your home, because that's what protecting your HVAC system is your home investment.
Yeah.
So that is a great segue to get to the table. Now, once you are at the table, what you need to do is you'll have what most of you guys would call is a estimate, a proposal, a quote. At Sales Elite, we like to use the terminology menu. And the
Okay.
reason behind that is because you have a more positive connotation with the word menu than you would with proposal, estimate, or quote, mainly because you're going to be thinking about money when you hear proposal, estimate, quote. with menu, the customer automatically thinks that, oh, I have a opportunity to choose
Okay.
what I want.
I like it.
So I'm going over, does that make sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm going over the menu and I'll have my good, better, best. I like to break it down in gold, silver, bronze.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're doing here is you gathered all that information from rapport, you asked the right questions, so you should know what is going to work best for that customer even before you take out your menu and you show it to them.
Okay.
So
Okay.
as you're going through the menu, you want to go through um, gold, you want to go through silver, you want to go through bronze, you want to work your way top down, the most expensive to the least expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say for this example, we had a menu or a proposal with gold, silver, bronze, and we know that silver is going to work best for this customer. You're going to explain gold. You're going to explain the benefits of gold. Then you're going to go down and you're going to get to silver, which is, you already know this is what you believe is going to work best for the
Mm-hmm.
customer. You're going to explain that and say, before you explain silver, you want to say, Mr. Williams, this is the option that I believe works best for you.
Okay.
Then you go and explain, hey, this is our silver package. This is going to be the train unit. And you just hit on the benefits and their needs. So if there's a benefit and there's a need, you tie those two together
Yeah.
on what they told you when you were building rapport, when you were questioning. You may have found out that the home that they're in is just going to be a rental property in the next 5 years, and you want
Yeah.
to get them something that's mid-grade, that's going to be somewhat reliable and not going to just, I guess, stop working in the next five years, and you want to go with that silver package. You bring that up while you're presenting the silver package to them.
Yeah.
And then you way down to bronze, you explain bronze. And then this is what you do. This is very important. What you do next is very important. You ask a customer, well, really it's a statement, not really a question, but it sounds like a question. You ask them which option works best for you.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You never want to say, hey, do you have any questions? Or you don't want to say, did everything make sense to you? No, you just ask them which option works best for you.
I
And you
like
just
that.
shut up.
I like that. And I'll tell you, for many years, that was a big mistake that I made. And I was even a good salesman then, but one of the biggest killers was I would always say, hey, do you have any questions? And you know what they would say? No.
No,
And it's over. So now I
right.
never ask. So I have one key term, and maybe you can speak on it if you know if I can make it better or if you think it's good. But once I walk through, I say, all right, so what are your thoughts? Because it's not an open-ended. Typically, they'll tell me what their thoughts are, even if it's, well, I have to talk over with my husband. Because I can speak on that, or they might say, ooh, it's a lot of money. I can speak on that. But if I say, do you have any questions? They say no. I have no insight into
Yeah.
what's going on. So that change has helped a lot just by saying, so what are your thoughts? So,
Yeah. No, that's and I would challenge that in a healthy way and say I would still stick with the same word track of what option works best for you. And this is the reason why, because I feel like when you ask a customer what are their thoughts, you're opening up a lot of different cans of worms that they can
okay,
throw so much smoke screens up. Oh yeah,
okay,
I got to talk to my spouse, or
okay,
um, yeah, let me get three quotes because I only get three quotes, or hey, let me think about it over. Because here's the thing, and I know we're not going to have time to get into objection handling, because with objection handling, well, the way that we pretty much teach it is you're able to find out what the smoke screen is. And again, for those who are tuning in, a smoke screen is just simply a customer telling you an objection that is not really the core objection. It's just something to distract you or get them a way out from not wanting to tell you no. So if you're able to do the objection handling the correct way and conduct that the correct way, man, you're able to just find out what that core objection is and address it and continue to close from there.
Okay, so I need to make a change then. I'm gonna experiment with that. I do like that.
Yep,
Which option works for you because it's more direct and it's almost like trying to close right there at the table, right? Because you're pretty
exactly.
much saying, hey, you know. So let's talk about that for a minute, okay? Because I've gotten quotes at my house for different things,
Yep,
plumbing and things, and I've seen a lot of times I'm surprised. And I've been there before. I have to admit I've done it before, but more
yep.
companies not, they'll come and they'll look and they'll say, okay, I'll give you an estimate, give me a little while, I'll give you a call, which is surprising because what if I'm ready to go right now? So have you seen that?
Right.
Do you feel like you even need to set your mind to call them later, or do you think in your mindset you need to be like, I'm gonna assume they want it now, so which one works for you? Would you like me to go ahead and get the crew coming? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I'll tell you a live example. So I consulted with a roofing company just recently. He's always been that guy that would send an estimate and then follow up later, or sometimes kind of forget about it if he doesn't hear for back from the customer, and that way you can become really passive, right? So what he started doing is he started bringing a menu every time he's on a sales call, and he started presenting it every single time to the T, starting off with the top package, working his way down. And because because of that, he was able to close more sales simply because of not sending an estimate, not putting it, I guess, in other words, not putting the ball in the customer's court, but just really asking that customer after going through that menu or that proposal, what option is going to work best for you? Because here's the truth, guys. If we are running through the sales process the correct way and we're focusing on needs-based selling, this whole process is going to be a lot smoother. And when you're asking that customer which option works best for you, it's not going to come off pushy, but it's going to come off more consultative that, hey, these are the options that we believe will work best. Yeah, there's one that's highlighted that I believe that will work best for you, but which one is going to work best for you?
I like it. I love it. I think it's amazing. And I think it's practice too, because
Yeah,
uh you have to run the play. For anyone that has ever been in sports before, if you run the play, it works, right? But you may say, "Oh, it's overwhelming. I can't remember the play." Just practice it. Run the route the first time and that second, third, fourth, fifth, eventually you'll get really good at it. And that's been my experience with learning from you when I was like, man, I really have to change my process. It's one step at a time, and to where I eventually got really good and I add one piece and add another piece and add another piece. So I'll tell you real quick, the first
yeah,
thing for me, and then I'll segue into the next step is the first thing for me was getting over the mindset that the customer doesn't want me sitting there for 30, 40 minutes talking about an AC. So I was rushing,
yeah,
right?
yep,
And I would lose quotes. Sometimes people would be higher than me because they would take the time, right? So then I learned, wait a minute, people are overwhelmed that their HVAC broke. They don't know who to call. It's a lot of money. It's very stressful. So they actually don't want to rush it. They actually want to bounce this idea off of their mother, brother, sister, blah, blah, blah. And they want your opinion. They want you to sit and make them, let them know it's okay. Walk them through it. It's a big investment. And a $10,000, $15,000 investment is too much money to be like, oh, man, it's 15K in rushing. So one, I
right.
adjust that. And I'm going to tell you the next thing, and maybe you can speak on it, is adding somewhere in that sales process is you have to put some kind of limit on it where, hey, this quote is good for 14 days or it's good for 30 days because the prices go up at the supplier. If you don't do that, make it expire at some point, it gives the customer no need to like, hey, let's do it,
Yeah, creating
right?
a sense of urgency, right?
Sense of urgency. So that was the next thing that I added is, hey, this quote, it expires in 14 days. We'd love to give you the same price, but our supplier sends us a message every 6 months that the price is high. We don't know when that's going to happen, but I can guarantee this price for the next 14 days, or find your way to to do that. So, all right. So
Yeah,
the next step, and we have about 10 more minutes here. The next step. So let's say you don't close at the table, right? So the guy
yep,
you did your objections. He's just like, I'm good. Thank you. Give me a week to figure it out. What's next? Because I know I talk to a lot of contractors. Most of them never follow up. And I think the money is in the follow up. So what do
Yeah.
you do? How do I follow up? Do I call? Do I email? Do I text? Do I show up at the door again? What's the situation there?
Yeah, yeah, great question. And I love that phrase. The money is in the follow-ups because that's 100%, right? So if you get to a point where you're not able to close right there at the table, you're going to have to follow with that customer. But before you leave that customer's house, they may say, "Hey, I need 3 quotes. I need to do this. I need to do that." What you have to do is you need to set yourself up. And all you have to say is, "Hey, Mr. Williams, hey, what's a good day and time that I can follow up with you?" And let's
Okay.
say you show up on a Tuesday, and then he's like, and he tells you, "Hey, let's do tomorrow." And you'll say, "Okay, what time?" He'll say 10 o'clock. You give him
Hmm.
a call 10 o'clock, right? To the next day, which is Wednesday. And this is what initiates call cadence. And I have a formula for it. It's called a 2-2-1. I know it
Hmm.
sounds like a defense for like basketball, like a zone defense
Sure.
for basketball, but it's actually, and I'll explain it, it's actually the first day you call 2 times. The
Okay.
second day, call 2 times.
Okay.
The third day, you call 1 time.
Okay.
And let me explain the cadence in that. So, for example, like we just said, you need to follow up with that customer on Wednesday at 10 a.m. What
Okay.
you'll do is you're not able to get that customer at 10 a.m. You set yourself up in your CRM with a follow-up call, let's say at 5, the
Hmm.
same day, just later in the evening. That
Okay.
first time you call and you don't reach them, don't leave a voicemail.
Okay.
And the reason behind that, you're piquing the curiosity, you're piquing the interest of that customer, like who's calling me.
Hmm.
Two, what you want to do is you want to leave that voicemail for later on in the day when you call, and in case that you aren't able to contact them that
I get
second
it.
time.
I get it.
Yep, exactly. So that's the first day, right? The second day, you're going to do the same thing. However, you're not calling at the same times you call.
Okay.
You're
If
leaving
you didn't get them, even if you got them, you're going to change times, or if you didn't get them.
Oh, yeah, great question. This is all pending on if you're not able to contact them.
Got it. Okay.
Now, if you do get them and it leads to another phone call, before you get off that phone call, you need to find out, hey, I called you at this time. This wasn't the best. Is there a better time to call you?
Okay.
That'll be a question you ask.
I
But
love
all
it.
that this call cadence formula, the 2-2-1, is all based on if you're not able to get the contact with the customer. But all this is an efforts to get in contact with the customer. But I'm
Okay.
just explaining it in a sense of if you're not able to. So on that second day, you want to call at different times, two
Hmm.
times a day, different times. And then on that last day, you want to just call in a time that you didn't call. Now, if you're not able to get in contact with this customer, the last effort is text message or email. But in hopes that if you called 5 times in the last 3 days and sent an email, and you set the right expectation, and also you built the right relationship with that customer during the transaction, or not transaction, but the interaction with the customer, they should pick up. They should pick
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. And I'll add this because I feel like I have to in these times is because a lot of us, well, companies who don't do any follow-ups don't do any, right? But then you kind of have the next level. I'm a big sports guy, so I feel like there's Parks and Rec level, then JV, then varsity, then right. So you go from Parks and Rec where you don't follow up at all, and then now you're on the JV team, you do some follow-ups. But I think a lot of companies, when they first start doing follow-ups because they're scared to call, they'll do email follow-ups and text follow-ups, which is good, but that's not to replace the phone. Because if I call your customer on the phone and you're doing email follow-ups, I'm going to win because
Yep.
people connect with that person. So with all the AI texting follow-ups, chat GPT following up, it's to add to your follow-ups, not to take away from you picking up that phone.
Right.
So
And I think that what that is, if somebody is, and not everyone, not everyone, but if you're more swaying to the side of just wanting to send a text message or email, all that is a direct reflection of that connection you have with that customer.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
you didn't build anything with that customer when you were with them. So your cop out from hearing that two-letter word no is to send a text or
Yeah.
send an email.
It's a mindset.
Instead of Right, it's a mindset. It falls back to mindset. Instead of calling them because you know you built a connection with them, like, yeah, let me call Mr. Wood. I haven't heard from him. Or I called him earlier today. He didn't pick up. Let me call him again. It's not going to feel like burdensome to call that customer, feel like you're bothering them because you built that connection with them while you're with them.
Yeah. And obviously we're using some emotional intelligence, right? If you call someone and they say, "Oh, hello, hey, I'm in the line, I'm picking up the kids, it's really busy." You're not gonna be like, "Well, I gotta talk to you about this," right? So you're gonna use some
Yeah,
intelligence and be like, "Hey, pick up your kids, I get it. Hey, I'll talk to you later. I'll talk to you later." That's
right.
also part of the rapport building, right? So I think
Exactly.
emotional intelligence is big. So I love that. Okay, so we're really close to the end here. So to sum it up, so we talked about boom, mindset first. You
Yep.
pull up, you sit in the driveway, you get your mind right. I'm not afraid of no. I'm gonna close this today. You're doing like you're visualizing the shot going in. You're not
Right.
visualizing, oh, you miss it. If you miss it, you miss it. But you get your mindset, I'm gonna close this. You take all of the assumptions off. Oh, this guy seems like a cheap customer. Could take all that off, right? Be neutral.
Yep.
Knock on the door, build a rapport immediately, right? Sit at the home base or whatever you call it, go through the menu, use the right word track, close today. If you don't close, go on your call cadence, right? So this is a big process to institute. The next step, okay, because I feel like sales is, if it's like sports, it's something you got to practice and remind your crew, keep your crew constantly trained, which is how, you came
Right.
into my company. So how can people get a hold of you? If they say, "Hey man, I really need more of this. The Zoom was great, but it didn't fix all of my issues. I need to get a hold of Ariel." What do you do? How does it work with you?
Yeah, yeah, great question. And you're right. Before I answer that, you're 100% right. It's said like I gave a lot of different gems there, but by no means do I expect anyone to just grasp it and run with it and hit
Hmm.
on every single point that I just laid out. I mean, it's just not realistic. So, if you got any value from what I was telling you, you're kind of curious and want to know a little bit more in depth techniques and mindset and needs-based selling and taking that consultative approach, you can email me. My email is mysaleselite@gmail.com. And I'll say that again, and maybe you can put that in the chat as well, Mike, mysaleselite@gmail.com. And then also, if you want, if you're a reader, I have an ebook out as well. It covers a lot of what we talked about, or not a lot, but some of what we talked about in more detail. You can go on my website, mysaleselite.com, and you can just download my free ebook there. Just ask for your name and your phone number. I'll and with that too, I would just email you first, probably just to make sure that it's okay to give you a call. Because what I do there is that whoever downloads my ebook, I just give them a free 30-minute consultation call. I just hop on the phone with you and I just talk to you, hear your pain points, and just point you in the right direction. Obviously no strings attached there, but just really here to help. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are the ways to get in contact with me. And Mike, again, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll close here, and I'll close with this. When we first had our talk about going live in here, and I said, "Hey, I'm one of the admins in this group," and we had our discussion, and I said, "Hey, we're really not going into the group. My mindset of this HVAC owners group is not to sell people stuff, but we have this knowledge, and let's go on this Zoom, give all the knowledge. Let's help as many, because I've been in a position where I had no money as a company, and I've been in positions where I had money. But our goal here is just to give the value. I know you guys got as much as possible out of this, but if you do need something, Ariel's here, right? So, and in the group, you can ask, go in the chat. I'm sure if you write in the comment section here, because the live will be up forever, and they put questions, hey, Ariel, what about this? I'm sure you'll go in there and just answer and help people because you're such a
Happy
helpful
to.
guy. Yeah, I love it. So,
Right. Happy
um,
to.
yeah, so I appreciate it. Thank you for joining. Thanks everyone for watching the live stream. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the day. All right, Ariel.
Thank you, guys.